debris removal, fill out a right of entry form, or get a list of disaster recovery centers that are still active, please visit recovery.lacounty.gov or call the debris hotline at 844-347-3332. If you're vulnerable to mudslides with rain in the forecast, free sandbags are being offered. Go to lacounty.pw/sandbags to find out where to get them. Businesses who have lost their facilities due to the fires can use a regional online source to get free or discounted locations. Whether you're interested in donating or finding space, you can visit the business-to-business Space Share portal at spaceshare.lacounty.gov. Additional LA County small business support and programs can be found at opportunity.lacounty.gov. Praying, advocating, and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
Man, I feel like money. Man, I feel like money. Man, Jack keeps to me. Y'all come around like honey. They come around like honey. Cause I fly like the sea. Y'all, man, I got them all buzzing. Like that, back up in the mix like that, and I know you like it when it's just like that. Hard the girlies just love my swag. From my kicks to the way I fix my hat, I'm back, fresh like some new day. Brody got next, NBA 2K, I'm too paid. Shaded with some ladies, reppin' my city. What's LA, baby? What's LA made me this way? Two rules, stay fresh, while me get paid. Hey, never broke and never bummy. I'm from where it's forever sunny. Man, I feel like money. Man, I feel like money. Man, Jack keeps to me. Y'all come around like honey. They come around like honey. Cause I fly like the sea. Y'all, man, I got them all buzzing.
Welcome to Wealth Building Wednesdays, where we center Black, women, and BIPOC-owned businesses. Highlight opportunities and initiatives for underrepresented entrepreneurs and center socially innovative enterprises, building generational prosperity, fostering real networking, and recycling Black dollars. It's Wealth Building Wednesdays on KBLA Talk 1580.
All right, we're welcoming back into the space an entrepreneur who has found success as a licensed real estate broker and consultant with Park Place Realty, does estate planning and legal document prep under Golden Legacy. But last time he was in here as a candidate. Right now he's in our Wealth Building Wednesday spotlight. Jahan Epps, welcome back.
Thank you for having me again. I appreciate it. Always love being on the show.
Yeah. So talk to me about well, I know you got a lot to say on a Wealth Building Wednesday. We like to focus on, building Black wealth, building generational prosperity in our communities. And real estate is one of the most reliable ways to do that, right?
Absolutely. I think that was a big part of why I ran, was to, and I would say I see the community changing, I see the gentrification, which I don't have a problem with, but I would like it to be more so, I would say, I would like to see more participants and more control by the long-term residents.
Well, then it wouldn't be gentrification.
Well,
gentrification typically means the people that are there, the people, which is what gentry is, get pushed out, and new people come in as the upgrades happen.
Well, dictionary definition means to take a middle class, a lower class neighborhood and make it come to middle class standards.
Right. So what happens to the lower class people that get pushed out? That's why people have a problem with gentrification.
Well, I don't want it to get pushed out. Remember, we're on Wealth Building Wednesday, right?
Indeed, we are.
So the goal is to take lower class people and make them middle class people, right, to build their wealth, right? So I don't want to say that we can't have good neighborhoods, good schools, just because we are lower class. We want to build that wealth so we get to experience and have all of the same attributes and.
Right, it's a point of clarity because you said you're not against gentrification, and most people would interpret that as you're not against Black people being pushed out of Black neighborhoods.
And I'm glad you gave that moment of clarity because I understand when you say gentrification, that's what automatically triggers. People say, hey, we want to push everybody out. No, we want to improve the neighborhood, but we want to improve it for ourselves. We're not saying anybody is not welcome, but, for the people that have been here a long period of time, we don't want to see the neighborhood get improved for, not us. So that is part of my running in the first time because I wanted to have an advocate pass down certain knowledge and just feel like we had an ability to be a part of that process. We see a lot of buildings going up on Crenshaw, a lot of units being built, but I don't know plenty of people that are from the area that are participating in the development of Los Angeles right now.
The development of, and also the being able to take advantage of, the development of. You say that one of the biggest issues you see is the handling of generational wealth. And I'm assuming that you're talking about what I've seen in my own Crenshaw community, which is the elders buy the house, they die, and then the family sells it, everyone's driving Escalades or whatever they're doing, and then that wealth evaporates.
And that's what I mean when I say the knowledge being passed down. From my opinion, it takes property going from a great-grandparent to a great-grandchild to truly establish generational wealth, but everybody's selling grandma's
house,
that's
right? 3 generations is what you're saying.
But if you sell grandma's house, you stop that one generation short and you reset the clock.
Right. Well, and if you're lucky, you reset the clock.
Right. When I say, no, that's not lucky. Lucky just means if you get another piece of property.
That means you get another chance,
Absolutely. But if not, most people are. And there's reasons for that. And that's where I came in today, and that's what the part of Golden Legacy comes in. People are not as educated about starting living trust. There's 3 options. You have a living trust, which is for the proactive, a will, which is for the reactive, and no will is for the non-active, right? And basically what you do when you set up a trust, you are establishing the person or bestowing power upon them to be able to do business in the case of your demise. With a will, that does give certain power, but you still have to go to probate court with the will, and with no will, you still have to go to probate court. It's more so reactive because it's triggered by somebody passing on and not being established ahead of time. So what happens is when somebody has that scenario pop up, usually they might come to us if they have a trust and they're a trustee. They can usually go right to the bank accounts, get to paying the mortgage. If they have probate or have to go to probate because of will or not will, they have to go to probate court, probate proceedings, which could be 6 to 18 months.
Or longer. Way longer.
And we've had a lot of clients have to try to pay grandma's mortgage, take care of grandma's bills without having access to grandma's funds. So that's why it's important to establish that ahead of time. If you're able to get past that obstacle, then, you got some people that does not want to split a house with 6 of their cousins. Everybody's not financially the same, not financially responsible. At that point, we try to help some of those people in negotiations. That's where the real estate comes in to maybe buy off the less responsible family members and keep the property intact. If they choose to keep, if they sell, I can help with that. But we try to encourage them to keep if it's advantageous, and usually it is. And in that scenario, we also have to go in and do some repairs or help with that because grandma sometimes haven't had the roof done in 20 years, the electrical, the plumbing. So these are all the problems that is faced. And when I talk about the education, these are all the problems that somebody may face trying to hold on to grandma's house that they don't know they're going to befall them beforehand. So we want to get the information out so some of these safeguards can be in place ahead of time, and then we want to help to execute whatever else needs to be executed after the fact.
Yeah, actually an area I've spent a lot of time talking about. My friend Attorney Zorn Basic is elder care attorney, and we've spent a great deal of time talking about this. And I think that we make assumptions. We assume that, when I die, this automatically goes to my spouse, or when I die, this automatically goes to my children. When we die intestate, which means without a will, it may or may not.
Right.
It could be the state actually has the last word in the decision at that point, if we don't have a will or a trust, right?
Right. They have a order of inheritance. They try kind of similar to a cross. It's the spouse. If they deal with that first, maybe they might get half whole community property depending on how you had title. Then it's the kids, grandkids. If you don't have any of those, it goes above you to the parents, and if your parents are not alive, it goes out to your siblings, and then down from there. So that is usually the order of inheritance if they have no order. And that's not sometimes appropriate for everybody, because some people don't have good relationships with all family members. You might want this kid to get, not that. I'm not saying that you should separate, but everybody's situation.
Well,
is
yeah,
different.
that's why people have wills. They give to their favorites. But also, we always talk about Gary Coleman, the actor, who failed to change his will, his trust. I think it was a trust, and his ex got to make the decision to pull the plug on his life support because he hadn't taken her off of those documents, and he was incapacitated, so he couldn't say, no, not her, anybody but her.
That's the sad part. You can make amendments and changes to the trust, and you should. We recommend that to our clients every so often. As things change, you make changes. So it's the good and the bad, because now you see there was somebody there. He had designated somebody to make all of those decisions. When something bad happened, there was somebody there. It's just he didn't update it, so he had the wrong person
X
to
to
make
the
all
next,
of those decisions. Absolutely.
A nightmare. But also, I have talked to folks who assume that because I'm married to someone, automatically I'll get to make health decisions for them. Automatically I'll be given that financial power of attorney, and it's not true, right? No,
it's not necessarily true. And you do want to have those documents as well, taken care of. Power of attorney, medical, specifically our financial, HIPAA, healthcare directive. Those allow you to make decisions if your loved one is incapacitated. HIPAA allows you to pull documents, medical documents, so you can see, hey, what kind of medications have you been given? If there's some malpractice and you need those records in order to, make a stand on somebody's behalf, those are the documents you need to be able to pull if that person is not awake to give you permission.
I mean, my understanding is that you can do a power of attorney for healthcare and for finance yourself.
Absolutely.
But is that something you also do for people?
Yeah. We are a legal doc prep company. And just to explain what that is in general, when it comes to legal documents, you have three options basically, right? You have the attorney, which they charge what they charge. You have the free legal help center. And then you have the middle, which is us, which we are paralegals and legal secretaries, and we have the legal ability to fill out documents on people's behalf. So if they kind of know what they want already or what they need, we take care of those documents for them. We don't give legal advice. We can't give legal advice because we're not attorneys, but we can help with the legal documents.
Yeah, that makes sense. What would you consider the basic things that people need, like their basic kind of paperwork?
Yeah, I would say the
guardrails,
the trust, the power of attorney, the HIPAA, the healthcare directive. Those, four things.
Healthcare directive, which is the same as a power of attorney. For healthcare.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. It's healthcare, and then you also may have to handle business, because if you're incapacitated, imagine your car note or your mortgage not being paid, but the money is in the account. It's just nobody can get to it.
Right, and when someone passes, and as you mentioned, no preparation has been made, all of their accounts and everything is frozen when they die. This happened with a friend of mine who passed. I guess it's been about 2 years now, and he did have money in the account, but nobody could pay the bills because he didn't have a will, and he passed, and everything was frozen.
Exactly.
As soon as that death certificate came out, everything was frozen.
And that's why we call it proactive, because in the case of, or when it does happen, you've already set everything in place to make sure that things are taken care of.
Right, and on the pro side, you can do a lot with a actual living trust.
Yes.
Like, let's say you have a kid that you don't think might be responsible to pay that mortgage, but you want to leave them the house. You could actually set it up to where the mortgage is paid from your trust until they turn 25 or 30 or that kind of thing, if you have the means, right?
Absolutely. You can take the responsibility away from, who and how you choose. You can still take care of them without, passing on necessarily responsibility.
Yeah, right.
You can have a trustee and you can have a beneficiary. So the child might be the beneficiary, but you may have somebody a little more responsible as the trustee.
The trustee is the one who controls whatever wealth that is after you're gone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that works for people who have flaky family members, but also if you have a child who is disabled in some way or intellectually disabled, or a spouse that has that kind of issue, you can take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a way of taking care of the wealth, right?
Yes, they have what's called a special needs trust, which you can set up for somebody who may have some delays or just needs challenges or need help. And you can set that up for them for the duration, and somebody to watch over and look over the special needs trust. Absolutely.
So how and why do all of these things preserve generational wealth?
Well, for one, I compare it to when you give somebody a house. A lot of people in my generation are becoming first-time homeowners through inheritance. It's not as many people buying in their 20s and 30s, et cetera.
Right, because it's too expensive now.
Absolutely. So that's why I say pass down the education, because I compare it to passing on a horse to somebody, right? If you were to wake up and suddenly have a horse and you've never rode horses, you don't know that you can stud them, you don't know that you can race them, you don't know there's other ways that you can make money, but you get a stable bill every month. It's only going to be so long before somebody comes and offer you a pretty penny for the horse. You're like, hey, well, right now it's just a bill. I don't know how to use it. I don't know how to take advantage of it, so they end up selling the horse. But if you pass down the education and they understand that they can ride this horse, they can race this horse, they can stud this horse, they can, how to operate. Think of the scenario that I gave with all of the lack of repairs that may have been done to grandma's house or have not been done to grandma's house. Now I have to have the experience to meet with contractors if I've never have. I have to know how to deal with roofers, plumbers, and try to bring this house up to code without paying too much, getting taken advantage of. So it just presents a whole bunch of problems without the education. I told my father when I had this conversation with him that I was going to be his business partner either in life or in death, because either he's going to show me how to do this stuff while he's here, or I'm going to have control of all of this stuff after he passes, and I'll fumble it or I won't. So I try to encourage this to be more of a family conversation and have everything be up front. So if that day befalls, they are rolling right into that position that they've been groomed for by their family. And, we less likely that we'll lose things in the transition. If the race is everything that you've able to gather in your lifetime is the race, the passing the baton is the trust, and if you fumble the baton, what was the point of the race?
Yeah, well, hopefully you enjoyed living in your home. You enjoyed the wealth that you had while you were alive. There's that. Okay, so we're already behind schedule, so we'll continue this conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. Who cares about the black community in Altadena? We do. On Saturday, March 8th at 10 a.m., it's the premiere of Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr. This new weekly show will explore the deep roots and resilience of Altadena's black community as we track its recovery and reimagine its future. From relief efforts to rebuilding, we're raising up voices, stories, and solutions to build back Black Altadena better and stronger than ever. It's Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr, every Saturday at 10 a.m. beginning Saturday, March 8th, with an encore presentation, Sundays at noon.
James Farr, the man who is the voice for Black Los Angeles.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service, real-time updates only on iOS mobile apps. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop. Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop. A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Messaging data rates may apply or play stop, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
If you struggled to lose weight in the past, this important message is for you because you could lose as much as 50 pounds or more with Zelfie. Zelfie makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelfie providers can prescribe FDA-approved GLP-1 weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others. Plus, help get the medication covered by insurance so it's as little as $0 a month.
The doctors are super helpful, and the meds have been a game changer. It's the first program I've had success with.
Before Zelfie, I was unable to lose weight, even though I was eating healthy and exercising 6 days a week. Zelfie helped me not only lose weight, but I feel so much better.
Text GOAL to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy or Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text GOAL to 200-300. That's GOAL to 200-300. GOAL to 200-300.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
And we're talking with Jahan Epps. You know, he's got a license in real estate, but also is part of the Golden Legacy, which is an estate planning and legal document preparation company, black-owned company, I assume.
Absolutely.
And we have someone with a question or comment. Paul from LA, you have the mic. Welcome.
Good morning, Dominique. Good morning, Jahan.
What's going on, Paul Lee? How you doing?
Yeah, love you, brother. Shaw Dog to the day.
Love you too, bro.
Hey, I just want to give a shout out to this brother's a good brother in the community that's not only activist but sharing information with a very pertinent conversation that you guys are having. Just a quick question that I have for you, for everybody. When it comes to trust and everything of that nature, how often should someone update it?
We say 2 to 5 years, but also anytime there's a major change that you know of. Like if you have a trustee, sometimes there's more than one, and we've had people like tragically pass. So, that person.
Your trustee dies if you get a divorce, if you have another kid.
Mm-hmm. Any major changes that were like using the Gary Coleman example, that's a major change that, would have been a good idea for him to make an update.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. Yeah, and Dominique, thank you too. These are the important conversations. How we get ourselves out of this situation that we currently is just through education.
Right.
The things that we encountered that we make sure that we make sure the next generation learns from and everything, because we understand the biggest wealth generation for the middle class, quote unquote, is home ownership. So definitely inheriting that matters. So definitely thank you for your time. And Jahan, salute, brother. I love you
too, man. Love you too, man. I got to give it up to Paul Lee. He's one of the very good neighborhood individuals, and he's very active and proactive about helping the community to improve.
Yeah, I appreciate you too, Paul, and the support of this show. And I want to ask you this because I don't want to ask Jahan since he's here to talk about his business. And you're welcome to chime in if you feel like it.
Okay.
But we're looking at basically the dismantling of HUD, Department of Housing here in the United States. And it seems like something that will disproportionately impact working class and black folks, because many times it's those federal loans that step in when we are being redlined or eliminated by other means from being able to even get that generational wealth of buying a home. You have thoughts on that? Paul, you still there? Oh, Paul's gone already. Okay, I guess he bounced. So I don't know if that's something that you want to talk about in this context, but I think it seems like when you mention how your generation and some of the later generations underneath you, it's harder to buy a house.
Absolutely.
So if you don't inherit one, you may never get one.
Yeah.
Well, as we see these windows closing, how do you see workarounds?
That could be a little tough. And it's very interesting just being in real estate for a long period of time, because you kind of pick up and learn things. I remember having a conversation, and I know this might not be idea for everybody, but it's just was eye-opening in itself. I was talking to one of my lenders at Bank of America, and he was just sharing with me that family members can share up to a 50% gift, right? And I laughed at that, like, whose family member is giving them 50% of the property? And he said, oh, actually, it happens quite often. So there's a lot of disparages. I think.
What does that mean?
That you as a family member, let's say your daughter, son, or whatever, are buying a house, you can give them 50% of the house, of what the house is worth as a down payment or a gift, and the bank will accept it. I didn't even realize this was, at the time, that this was a possibility for a lot of people.
Okay. Explain that to me like I'm 6.
Okay. So you're buying a house for $500,000.
Right.
Your mom says.
So you're in Kansas. You're not in LA.
Well, you are. Let's say you're in California.
Okay, so you're buying a house for $500,000.
Usually if when you're spending money on your down payment, the bank wants to source that money. Where are you getting this money from?
Right.
And they have acceptable reasons where those sources can come from.
Right.
A family member giving you 50% of what the house is worth is acceptable source.
So that family member is giving you cash, or you're saying they're giving you cash, or they're giving you their house?
Well, they could, let's say take it from their house. They could, et cetera, et cetera. It's about leveraging money to make more money, right? Or to help your family get further. I'm not saying that's the ideal for everybody, but there are way more options out there that I'm saying that we're not aware of.
Right. It's just an example of the ways that you can maneuver your money.
Absolutely.
And apparently we got our mind on our money and our money on our mind today, because we're going to be talking with Jareem Person-Lynn in the final hour of the show about his brass knuckle finance and how to get our coins together. So this is apparently that's what page we're on today. But we only have about a minute and a half here. So tell us what you need us to know about your business and how to connect with you.
Well, what I do want to share before I go is for the victims of Altadena, we are willing. I know some of those people have deceased, and their families may have problems accessing the wealth like we talked about, or accessing the things to be able to get FEMA money, etc. Golden Legacy is willing to help with those services free of charge. So you can find us online at Golden Legacy Estate. The number is 562-888-6567. But call us after 9. That's when we open. Bilingual secretary, so we will be able to speak Spanish. I'm very interested in how that town is rebuilt, because my question is, what's the difference between a town burnt up by riot or a black town burnt up by wildfire?
Yeah, we talked about that. Okay, give the website and the number again.
Yes, the IG is Golden Legacy Estate, and the number is 562-888-6567.
Okay, great. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it net loss of wealth.
Yeah.
Whether it's a angry mob, a white angry mob like in the Black Wall Street, or angry fire.
What most people don't know is Black Wall Street was rebuilt in 8 months and continued to be Black Wall Street until the 60s, until they were allowed to spend their money elsewhere, and then that's what...
I mean, there's hundreds of dead people and people who were displaced and never got their wealth back, like those survivors who are still seeking reparations today. But to your point, perhaps we don't look at the rebuilding as much as we should.
Yeah. They put a freeway through the town. They gave people to spend their money elsewhere, and that's exactly what happened. And that did more to destroy the black town than the actual riot.
Golden Legacy Estate on IG. We're going to agree to disagree on that.
Okay.
No. Golden Legacy Estate, or 562-888-6567. Great to talk with you, Jahan, and congratulations on the work you're doing.
Thank you so much.
News, traffic, and sports. Then call me. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. City leaders in Tampa, Florida will dedicate a historical marker to Zion Cemetery, the city's first cemetery for black residents. The graves, rediscovered in 2019, were not all removed when the property was sold and later redeveloped. New California legislation will set guidelines for ethnic studies classes, excluding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Experts in cultural studies will create the curriculum aiming to prevent anti-Semitism. The Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridor received $500,000 for its visitor center expansion, aiming to enhance educational opportunities and accessibility. This cultural hub in Buffalo, New York, hopes to create new businesses and improve historical discussions. And Luka Doncic led the Lakers to a 107-99 win over his old team, the Dallas Mavericks, at Crypto.com Arena on Tuesday. It was the first time Doncic has hit the court against Dallas since a blockbuster trade sent him to LA. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Love your baby's teeth. Before that first tooth, wipe their gums with a washcloth. When those first teeth come in, use a soft toothbrush and just a tidbit of toothpaste. And take them to the dentist by their first birthday. Learn more at loveyourbabysteeth.com. Brought to you by the LA County Department of Public Health.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was a fun night for Luka Doncic against his former team, the Dallas Mavericks. In his first game against the Mavericks since he was traded to the Lakers on February 8th, Doncic had a triple-double in the Lakers' 107-99 victory at Crypto.com. Doncic finished with 19 points, 15 rebounds, and 12 assists. He also had 3 steals. LeBron had a productive game. He scored 16 of his 27 points in the fourth quarter and finished with 12 rebounds. The Lakers, fourth in the Western Conference, are 13-3 since January 21st and have won 4 straight. During a timeout in the first quarter last night, the Lakers staff played a video tribute of Anthony Davis on the Crypto.com scoreboard. Davis sat on the Mavericks bench in street clothes. AD is recovering from a strained abductor muscle. The Clippers are at Chicago tonight. They're trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Life blooms in beautiful ways. The ASEA Center invites you to celebrate At the End with Red Gala, honoring the strength and resilience of Black women living with HIV. Join us for an evening of empowerment as we launch the Barbara Cambridge Scholarship and kick off Herstory Month with our theme, Life in Full Bloom. Your support helps create vital HIV programming and builds a future where every voice is heard and every story matters. The End with Red Gala, because every flower deserves to bloom. To learn more and to donate, visit theaseacenter.org.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avastin-capsid Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Sherry Shepherd here to talk about Black health. You know what I love about us? Everything. From science to the arts, we are leading the way. But we are falling behind in getting vaccinated. Pneumococcal vaccination rates are lower among Black adults than white adults. If you're 50 or older, you're at a greater risk of getting pneumococcal pneumonia. And the CDC recommends vaccination. If you're 19 or older with diabetes like me, you're also at increased risk. Let's continue owning our own health care and leading the way in vaccination rates too. Learn more and schedule at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2024, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better, business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-652-1714. That's 800-652-1714. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-652-1714 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, and I invite you, as always, to call 800-920-1580. What Jahan Epps is talking about is a very important issue, as I see it every single day with wealth leaking out of our community across generations, and also the infighting that happens in families when these things are not taken care of clearly and simply ahead of time. So if you can take the time now while you're around, you will save your family a lot of heartache, division, and a loss of wealth. And we're talking a lot, it's a Wealth Building Wednesday. We're in a season of oligarchy where rich people, very, very, very rich people, i.e. the richest man in the world, are running the country. It's worth noting that, like I said, these folks, many of them were born rich. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world, but he was born rich. His dad told the story of how he had never flown commercial. And this man, who came to the United States as an undocumented illegal immigrant, a white one nevertheless, but an illegal immigrant from South Africa, his own brother said it on tape, has received $38 billion in government loans, subsidies, tax credits, and contracts. And many times, according to a Washington Post analysis, these dollars have kept his businesses afloat when they were not actually viable, i.e. Tesla. It's 20 years, almost $40 billion. And so while he's cutting grandma's Social Security check, or mama's Social Security check, and cutting government jobs, he himself has dipped into your pockets and mine, because that $38 billion didn't come from Trump. It didn't magically appear. It comes from taxpayers. So like most supposedly self-made people, he is just part of a continuum of oligarchical benefits and advantages. The Department of Education sent out a threatening letter this month. We know that. It was every educational institution, K through 12, and as well as colleges, talking about DEI, demanding that schools get rid of not just affirmative action, but anything that they consider DEI, including things like black sororities and fraternities, diversity celebrations, etc., etc. It's also saying that schools are no longer allowed to teach about race in a way that the Department of Education doesn't approve. So basically, total censorship of black studies. They have until February 28th to comply, and they are using the Harvard decision around affirmative action as a justification for this. But that's shaky anyway, because that was meant to end affirmative action. It was not addressing DEI. So the question is, and I think it's a really good question, is does this end up making an HBCU an illegal configuration? If you're saying that the Supreme Court's affirmative action decision also outlaws DEI or culturally specific dorms, et cetera, does that mean that under this Department of Education, HBCUs and other schools, cultural schools, there are Chinese schools, there are various kinds of cultural schools, do those become illegal? And I guess we will find out in the days ahead. There's so many stories to keep up with, and I invite you to call 800-920-1580. Ukraine appears to have agreed to a deal to hand over their precious minerals. One of the sticking points was that they wanted guarantees of security after the Trump administration had said they would not send peacekeepers into the region. Once the war ended, they would basically leave Ukraine to fend for themselves when it came to further Russian incursions. So now they're saying that if Ukraine gives up its minerals, they'll say they'll help with security, but it's not specific. So it sounds like I don't understand why people are doing any deals with our president, because if you look at how he did deals in his private business, he promised people things and didn't pay them. He stiffed contractors and workers, and he did that over decades. So that's what he does. Now he is saying that Ukraine will pay us back for the money we've invested by giving us $500 billion worth of minerals, and in exchange for sort of vague reassurance that we might help them out with security. I doubt it. I mean, if you even forget this far right-wing New Confederate Republican Party, even forget their leader Trump and his private business practices, look at the Supreme Court justices getting in front of the Senate and lying and saying Roe was settled law, and then the first chance they get, they overturn a woman's right to control her own body. So, in fact, they lied on the stand. So, you know, what gives you any clue that this is a good idea, especially when we're talking about actually handing over pretty much all of your wealth? There's a mystery illness that has broken out in Congo, in Central Africa. 50 people have died in the past 5 weeks, according to health experts. It is similar to Ebola, apparently, in Marburg, but they say it's not that, based on their testing. Again, a story that is parallel to the resurgence of the measles and this growing bird flu problem, coinciding with our withdrawal from the World Health Organization and the firing of scientists, the muzzling of CDC experts. Just another reason to keep your mask on. I don't know that a mask is going to help, but I'm going to keep tracking these things, not because I want us to freak out and freeze, but because we need to understand the real world consequences. Folks like to say elections have consequences. Well, they sure do, and we're seeing a lot of them right now. President Trump will have the first cabinet meeting of his second term today, and guess who's going to be in that meeting? Elon Musk, lead advisor of the Department of Government Efficiency. He's not a cabinet member, though. How do people who are not cabinet members get to go to cabinet meetings? The president writing in all caps Truth Social posts saying all cabinet members are extremely happy with Elon. Doubt it. But that's beyond the point. He's just inviting random people into secure spaces. You could say, well, he's not a random person. He donated $250 million to help this guy get elected. Nevertheless, he's not had a security clearance. He came into this country as an illegal, if you guys are so concerned about undocumented. And he has massive conflicts of interest between his corporate holdings and his job taking a chainsaw to the public trust. But he'll be there, nevertheless. Love to hear what you think about this or any of the other stories. I'm catching us up a little bit here on some national and international headlines. We'll continue this conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Looking for a smart way to grow your savings and support your community? City First Bank's 3-month mission-driven CD offers 4% APY, giving you a strong return while backing businesses and communities that need it most. You will earn more and make a difference. Grow your money with purpose. Open your 3-month CD today by visiting cityfirstbank.com or visiting your local branch. City First Bank, banking with purpose, investing in community. Member FDIC, rates subject to change, terms apply. Visit cityfirstbank.com for details.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
I have a dream today.
The road to freedom wasn't paved with just big moments. It was built day to day, step by step, voice by voice. This February, experience Black History Month with the stories that shaped Los Angeles and beyond. KBLA Talk 1580, where Black history lives.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textline.us. Texting rules for recurring automated text marketing messages. Messaging data rates may apply or play. Stop, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
If you struggled to lose weight in the past, this important message is for you because you could lose as much as 50 pounds or more with Zelfie. Zelfie makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelfie providers can prescribe FDA-approved GLP-1 weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others. Plus, help get the medication covered by insurance so it's as little as $0 a month.
The doctors are super helpful, and the meds have been a game changer. It's the first program I've had success with.
Before Zelfie, I was unable to lose weight, even though I was eating healthy and exercising 6 days a week. Zelfie helped me not only lose weight, but I feel so much better.
Text GOAL to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy or Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text GOAL to 200-300. That's GOAL to 200-300. GOAL to 200-300.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
So the Republicans have done it again. They've passed a budget under the speaker that nobody wanted. The default speaker has, I guess, had a pretty good victory here. If by victory you mean decimating the public good in the United States of America. The House Republicans have narrowly passed their budget, 217 to 215. Will go to the Senate. The Senate is going to have to pass it. But right now it feels like to me, it looks like to me, Republicans are just pretty much laying down and doing whatever the president wants them to do. And so they've passed this budget, which is going to lead to some major cuts. It's $4.7 trillion in tax cuts for the very rich. And so far, we are barely seeing the beginning of the cuts to other programs and social services. One of the things that they are talking about, according to Forbes magazine, is the potential elimination of the SAVE plan, which is a student loan repayment plan introduced by the Biden administration. In other words, students will help pay for tax cuts and party favors for the rich. They want to cut $330 billion, and student loan subsidies are just one area that they are looking at to get this money that they need to move from the middle class to the rich. $4.5 trillion in tax reductions over the next 10 years. Trillion. Can't even get your mind around what $1 trillion is. $4.5 trillion in tax reductions for Elon Musk and Donald Trump and their friends. $2 trillion in federal spending cuts. So the working class, the poor, wrecking parks, can pay for rich people to get even richer. It boggles my mind and my imagination. If you've got $1 billion or $2 billion, why do you need more than that? If you have a couple $100 billion, like Elon Musk has, maybe even more than that, why do you need a tax cut? Why do you need more money? It's like this. It's like they're like supervillains at this point. And I'm not against the rich. Be rich. Enjoy your life. You know what I mean? Have a mansion. Have 2, have 3. Have a private jet. Never mind it's destroying the environment for human life. But do you, boo. I don't have a problem with that. But why don't you want to pay your fair share? That's where the supervillain part comes in. It's not because you're rich. It's not because you have companies. It's not because you call yourself an innovator, even if your innovation is just stealing other people's companies, like in the case of Elon Musk. It's not that. It's that you don't want to pay your fair share. $4.5 trillion in tax reductions are problems that we don't have, that we don't have now, that we're creating by giving party favors to the rich. So you want to create problems where there are none because you need more than the already a lot that you have. I don't know. To me, that sounds like evil. You know, that you remember the old passing a camel through the eye of a needle? Well, make that an elephant. And then the $2 trillion in federal spending cuts that you're saying need to happen because you're giving this $4.5 trillion to the rich. You want to cut $2 trillion from the working class, the middle class, and the poor. It's a massive redistribution of wealth towards the rich. And that's what the House of Representatives just passed with hardly any dissent. Of course, all the Democrats voted against it for once. They, were united, but it didn't help. You've got to get at least a few Republicans, and the Republicans who said they were going to vote no caved. And that's where we are. They caved. It's where we are right now. And I do think, I do feel confident that because these folks are overplaying their hand so drastically, that the pushback is going to be rapid and rather intense. I don't agree with what's his name, the Democratic strategist, that the Republicans are just going to collapse. I don't believe that, but I do believe that the pushback is going to be rather extreme at this point. Pope Francis still sick, but naming 2 more saints. He's still in the hospital. They're saying he's alert. Argentinians are having a mass prayer vigil for him because, of course, he's from Argentina. He's 88. He's been in the hospital 13 days. But they're saying he's back to business. He's stable, doesn't need life support anymore, and he's gone to work on confirming the status of 2 more saints. So, all of these things feel like they become fraught with extreme symbolism during times like this. 20 tech experts, high-level tech brains, have resigned from the Trump administration, saying that the DOGE, Department of Grifters for Elon, as I call it, with Department of Government Efficiency, is cutting people and programs that make our cybersecurity weak and create all kinds of problems for those who rely on computer systems to, say, deliver their Social Security or various grants and whatnot. Elon Musk says they're nothing but a bunch of Democratic hacks. This data department was set up under the Obama administration after the failed rollout of the Obamacare website, and they have been working on improving the computer efficiency of the government in many, many different areas. But they are also saying something very alarming, which is that these young so-called tech bro experts that Musk is bringing in actually are not that skilled in computers. So these are vetted computer scientists, right, who came in through the Obama administration and are working in nonpartisan jobs to improve the computer functioning of the government, which is important. If you've ever tried to do anything with a government website, you know that. But what they're saying is that these young guys that Elon is bringing in, they're not good at tech, and they are ideologue loyalists, and that these tech scientists were subjected to questioning, where the interviewers refused to reveal their own names and grilled them on where they stand politically. So they have stepped away. So now you're talking about 20 top computer scientists who are leaving, and people are leaving in droves. I was looking at a story in the LA Times this morning where the number of people in the park services, 700 national park employees said, you know what, we'll take the buyout, we're out. We don't want to deal with the stress. Those latest 700 national park employees brings the number to 1,700 year-round staff members of the National Park Service. 9% of that agency's workforce now, like, peace out. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that is a huge exodus. So if you're planning on going to a national park or doing a thing in a national park or getting rescued from a national park, you may be SOL. Elections have consequences. And, you know, we are definitely in the FAFO stage of this administration. But like one clever YouTuber said, like, I didn't do the effing around, so why do I have to find out? Well, guess what? We're all finding out. Elections have consequences. The Doge burn is real. It's a Wealth Building Wednesday. We're joined by jury person Lynn when we come forward. Getting our money right. Got to do that. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIM News. City leaders in Tampa, Florida will dedicate a historical marker to Zion Cemetery, the city's first cemetery for black residents. The graves, rediscovered in 2019, were not all removed when the property was sold and later redeveloped. New California legislation will set guidelines for ethnic studies classes